Your drum fills don't sound bad because you're not fast enough. The drummers who sound advanced aren't playing more. They're playing with better control, better phrasing, and better dynamics. So if your fills feel awkward, or they don't flow with the groove, or they just don't sound as good as the drummers you look up to, this video is going to help you with that, because most drummers try to improve their fills the wrong way. If I had to start over and master drum fills from scratch, I'd focus on just a few key things. And once you understand these, your fills will instantly sound cleaner, more musical, and way more professional. So if you are at the beginning of your drumming journey, you're going to need to learn the basic rhythmic vocabulary, because without that, you obviously don't know the words to use to form sentences. So if you only have like a couple of go-to fills that you always play, like we've all been there, you just need to focus on getting more rhythmic ideas into your head and also into your hands. You can think of it like this. We have 16 different options as to where the notes can land. So we're talking about straight time vocabulary, not triplets, but the 16th note grid. And if you can only use a couple of them, it's like not enough. We need the full range. But luckily there are great tools for this nowadays. The one that I personally use with my students all the time is JP Bouvet's RhythmBot. And with this app, you can create infinite amount of different combinations of these 16 possibilities. So you don't have to know what to do with them yourself. This tool will help you figure that out. But I will also give you one example here. I'll play this 1 bar rhythm and use it as a fill like this. So this is a great way to start building that vocabulary. Play fills that are either 1 bar long or half bar long, because they can always be really short as well. But just learn to play those different rhythms and orchestrate them around the kit. Once you're more comfortable with this stage, like you know your rhythms better already, then it's time to add dynamics. And by that I mean that we're going to fill all the space in between the notes that we just played. And we're going to fill them with ghost notes only. So ghost notes that are played really, really low and on the snare drum. And this is a really, really important step, and most drummers overlook this. They think that dynamic control is something that just automatically happens to them, but it's not. Like, you need to deliberately learn it. And if you've watched any of my videos, you probably already know that I focus on this heavily, because I think it's so important. It's like the #1 thing that if you can fix this, it will clean up your playing like nothing else. You will sound instantly more professional if you know how to use dynamics and control your hands. Because like in this example, we want to hear the core rhythm. Even as we add those ghosts in, we don't want them to overpower the core rhythm in any way, shape, or form. So it's really important that you do know how to control your ghost notes. And most drummers, if they've never really focused on this, they will play those ghost notes too loudly, and that's going to interfere with the actual fill, like how it sounds like. It's going to sound so much different if you don't know how to do this properly. Then the third tool that we're going to use is we are going to add some bass drums. Now, this will add some cool linear thing into the mix, like linear meaning that no limb is playing two notes at the same time, but each limb is playing its own thing, like individually. And many drummers want to reach this stage, but they skip the last part, the dynamic control part, and they start to learn these linear fills before they actually master that previous step. And this can be referred to as climbing to the tree with your butt first. And this is actually a Finnish saying, if you didn't know that. But that describes it really well, because what happens here is it's going to be so much more difficult to do this if you've not mastered that dynamic control with your hands first. If you're adding your bass drum or the hi-hat foot into the mix, you're not going to sound the way you want. I can promise you that. Now, the last stage, we already have a pretty cool fill by now, right? But we can add more spice into the mix. I'll add a couple of diddles, and that's a fancy word for doubles. So I will just basically replace a couple of ghost notes at the beginning and play them as doubles. Now this is a professional kind of drum fill, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than this, but this already includes so many of the core fundamentals. And if you do these correctly, if you practice the fundamentals right, you can make fills that sound like this. Now you don't have to have all these tools in your drum fills all the time, obviously, but it's just an example of showing you what you can do if you want to. But drum fills can also be really simple. Like the stage one that we did, I still play fills that are as simple as that. I don't always use ghost notes. I don't always use my bass drum, and I definitely don't always use diddles. But if you are someone who's practiced all these things, then you are able to use them at a given situation. So that's always a good thing if you have the options. So with these tools, you can make your drum fills sound so much more professional, so much more solid, and just fun. But as I said, the dynamic control is so important that I want to invite you to Dynamic Drum Academy if that's something that you truly feel like you need. Just click the link below this video and you can find a 7-day free trial into the Drum Academy, and you can just try it out, see how it feels, and I would be more than happy to help you fix your dynamic control. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.